Along the banks of the Yellow River in northern China 5,000 years ago, something extraordinary began. Small farming villages slowly turned into organized towns. Those towns evolved into powerful states, and from those states emerged one of the world's longest-lasting civilizations. Today, we're going to trace how the Yellow River became a true cradle of civilization. We'll look at what archaeology can actually prove, what ancient texts claim, and where historians still disagree. So, what can we really say about the origins of ancient China? The Yellow River gets its name from the fine yellowish soil called loess, carried down from the high plateaus of northwestern China. That loess made the river valley both a blessing and a curse. It was incredibly fertile, but the river flooded violently and often changed course, destroying everything in its path. As early as 10,000 years ago, we see hunter-gatherers and early farmers living in this region. But around 4,000 to 5,000 years ago, something changes. Excavations at sites like Shuanghuaishu show large planned settlements with defensive ditches, carefully organized neighborhoods, and evidence of specialized craft production. This is no longer a single village trying to survive. We see communities coordinating labor for irrigation, storage, and construction. We see social differences emerging in the sizes of houses and in the grave goods buried with some individuals but not others. Archaeologists group many of these early cultures under names like Yangshao and Longshan. What matters is that these were complex societies, already experimenting with the building blocks of civilization: surplus agriculture, social hierarchy, long-distance trade, and shared ritual practices. According to much later Chinese texts, the first dynasty to rule this region was called Xia. Traditional dates place the Xia Dynasty from about 2070 to 1600 BCE. Stories from works like the Records of the Grand Historian describe legendary rulers, including Yu the Great, who supposedly controlled the devastating floods of the Yellow River. For a long time, many scholars outside China treated Xia as purely mythical. But in the 20th century, a site called Erlitou in Henan province changed that conversation. At Erlitou, archaeologists uncovered a large urban center with palatial buildings, bronze workshops, roads, and carefully planned residential areas. Radiocarbon dating puts Erlitou roughly in the same period as the traditional dates for Xia. Here, we find clear signs of state-level organization: standardized bronze production, centralized storage areas, and evidence of elites who had access to prestige items like jade and ceremonial bronze vessels. So, is Erlitou the Xia Dynasty? This is where the evidence becomes tricky. We have a complex, powerful society that fits the right time and place, but we do not have inscriptions from Erlitou that say, "We are the Xia." The written records mentioning Xia were composed centuries later under different regimes with their own political agendas. Most historians today treat Xia as probable but unproven. There was clearly a powerful Bronze Age state in this region. Whether it matches the legendary Xia in detail is still open to debate. The next dynasty, Shang, is where archaeology and written history finally lock together. In the late 19th and early 20th centuries, farmers near Anyang began finding strange bones carved with symbols. These turned out to be oracle bones, turtle shells, and cattle bones used by the Shang kings to ask questions of their ancestors and the spirits. When scholars realized that these inscriptions matched the names of kings recorded in the later texts, everything changed. For the first time, we had contemporary written records from an ancient Chinese dynasty. At the last Shang capital, Yinchu, near modern Anyang, excavations have revealed royal palaces, massive ritual complexes, and entire quarters dedicated to bronze casting. Weapons, chariots, ritual vessels, and musical instruments show a level of bronze technology that was among the most advanced anywhere in the world at that time. The oracle bones give us extraordinary detail. Shang diviners recorded questions about warfare, harvest, childbirth, illnesses, eclipses, and royal hunts. They named specific kings, ancestors, and rival states. We can trace royal genealogies across generations, confirming that the Shang were not just a legend, but a fully documented historical dynasty. Crucially, the script carved into those bones is recognizably Chinese. Many characters used during the Shang have direct descendants in modern Chinese writing. That means the written language of China has an unbroken line stretching back more than 3,000 years. Around 1046 BC, a people from the west known as the Zhou overthrew the Shang. They justified this conquest with a new political and religious idea: the mandate of heaven, According to Zhou thinkers, heaven granted the right to rule to a just and moral king. If a ruler became corrupt, heaven could withdraw its mandate, allowing rebels to overthrow him legitimately. This was retroactively applied to explain the fall of the Shang as a moral failure. Under the Western Zhou, the Yellow River region was reorganized into a network of hereditary fiefdoms. Members of the royal family and trusted allies were granted land and titles in return for military service and loyalty. This system created a web of obligations that shaped Chinese politics for centuries. We know about the early Zhou from a combination of bronze inscriptions, transmitted texts like the Book of Documents, and archaeological remains from early capitals. Together, they show a society that built on Shang foundations but added a more explicit political ideology, one that would influence Chinese ideas about legitimate rule all the way into the imperial period. So, what does the evidence from the Yellow River actually tell us? At the solid core, we have the Shang, confirmed by oracle bones, bronze inscriptions, and large-scale archaeological sites. We can name specific kings, battles, and rituals with a high degree of confidence. Just beneath that, we have Erlitou and other early Bronze Age centers that suggest powerful, organized states before the Shang. These likely lie behind the later stories of the Xia, even if the details were reshaped over time. Below that, we have rich but less certain layers: oral traditions, legendary rulers, and moral tales preserved in later texts. They may contain echoes of real events, but they cannot be taken at face value without supporting evidence. Yet, even with all these uncertainties, one thing is clear. In the Yellow River Valley, between about 1000 and 1000 BCE, people created a remarkably durable system of writing, rulership, ritual, and social organization. That system allowed Chinese civilization not just to emerge, but to survive collapses, invasions, and internal conflicts for millennia. When we look at modern China today, its written language, its political ideas about legitimate authority, its emphasis on ancestors and continuity, we are still seeing the long shadow of those early Yellow River societies. The Yellow River was not just a cradle of Chinese civilization. It was the starting point of one of the most continuous cultural traditions in human history. If you'd like to keep unearthing the past with me, like this video, subscribe, and continue the story with the next episode in this Ancient Civilization series.